All right, what's going on, stalemates? Welcome back to another very important episode. This was an episode that it was an emergency. I had to leave my day job. I had to come right over here because the man of the hour, the man of the past week wants to be on the show. We wanted him on the show, and here he is, Jersey Jerry, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Yes, very last minute. Very last minute.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time to be on the show here. It's been quite a week for you in the wrestling community. How do you feel like you're being received so far? Because this seems to be like day one of what's supposed to be something bigger, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Listen, the way I'm getting received, I think, is good so far. If it ever turns bad, I got no problem with that either. Trust me. Working at Barstool, you get a lot of good, and then you get some bad. And hey, it is what it is. I believe in what I'm capable of doing, and just for me, dude, I'm just a fan, man. I'm just a fan of the sport. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know all the moves. I got the scoring kind of down pat now, but man, I'm just here to bring awareness. That's all.
I guess we could start there. How did you get into the sport of wrestling? My understanding is you never wrestled.
Oh, easy, buddy, easy. Whoa. I mean, I did a practice, okay?
I saw that. Yeah. You went with RBY, which is something that most wrestling fans can't say that they have done. Almost all
or have the balls to do.
Hey, listen, man, I was in high school and my buddy was like, Jerry, come on, just try out for the team. Try out for the team, man. You got big legs. You'll be good, I lasted about, I'd say, 45 minutes, and I said, look, I'm done. I said, I ain't doing this. I got no time for this. I'm beaten down. I'm exhausted. I said, you guys are crazy. Then I can't even eat. And I love to eat. Now you're throwing in I can't eat. Fuck that. Fuck that. So one practice in high school.
But who got you introduced to the sport of wrestling as a fan? You said 3 years now you've been a fan.
Nick Suriano.
No way. How do you know Nick?
Okay, so I don't really know him on that level, but I was at work, and I used to have a construction job in the union.
Shout out to 855, right?
Yeah, local 855 pipe fitters union. So one of my buddies was on the job, and he was the foreman, and we were just talking and stuff like that, and he had like the Big Ten tournament on his phone. I'm like, oh, what are you watching? Is that wrestling? He's like, yeah, college wrestling. And then once I watched that kid wrestle, I said, I gotta know about this kid. I said he was dominant, and so I would say a big part of me getting into the sport was definitely, I know people love him, people hate his guts, was Nick Suriano.
Yeah, we love him here. He's definitely like an enigma. I don't know how much you're aware of him, but he's kind of like,
he's still confusing everybody in the wrestling world.
Yeah,
dude, that's exactly. And then I remember on YouTube, Suriano would put out these things on Instagram, and I started following him, and it was like the spinning globe, and he was just like a mystery. And then when I really watched the YouTube video, I was like, this kid shot out. I mean, he's crazy. And I was like, I got to get to know what this is all about in this wrestling world.
Did you consult with KB at all about, how to maybe get into wrestling at all? Or was this before Barstool, right?
Yeah, this is a little before Barstool, but yeah, KB definitely, we talked about it here and there, him wrestling and stuff like that. We never kind of like connected to where it's like, hey, we should start something. We talked about it, but we never actually did anything like that. But yeah, respect to him, dude. He was a pretty good wrestler. I know he grinded for a long time. But yeah, not really like, we're not texting about it, I'd say.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So not on the text level of wrestling coworker, but it might get there one day, right?
Yes, of course. Yes.
How did you link up with RBY? How'd that happen?
So how I linked up with RBY, just social media, man. Instagram. We have a common friend, and introduced me to his content, his wrestling. Then introduced me to my content. He thought I was funny and stuff like that, so we connected. And then he heard about my my story. I've been sober for 7.5 years now, and he kind of related that. I appreciate that. He he didn't have the best upbringing, let's say. And, his mom has like a similar story to me, and we just kind of connected like that, and that's who actually invited me to Penn State.
Yeah. What'd you think of that dual meet the other night? And your boy RBY, he had probably the highlight of the night. What'd you think of that dual meet? It looked pretty sick. Yeah. We watched it online here, we watched it on TV here in Iowa, but it was definitely felt like there was a extra level of, I don't know, like theatrics maybe with you involved. Micah Parsons was involved. The broadcast was a little bit different. It was at Bryce Jordan Center where they normally don't host it there. They normally host it at Rec Hall. So how did it feel being there compared to some of the other bigger sporting events that you've been to?
I liked it a lot. I felt like actually could like feel. Listen, I've been to a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers games. I'm a diehard fan. You could feel like there's tension. You could feel all that stuff. And for me, I've never been to any wrestling match. Let's say honestly, high school, college. To go to that one as my first one, I'll remember for the rest of my life. You know, it was electric. And then, you know, they brought me into the wrestling room, which is really cool and stuff like that. So they kind of gave me, you know, full access, which was really, really cool.
Have you ever been to a wrestling meet before this?
No.
Do you think it's better on TV or better in person? I mean, that's kind of
in person, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it depends. You know, it depends. You know, like Penn State, Iowa in person, of course. You know, then, you know, I don't know, Nebraska versus, I don't know, Penn State. I'd probably watch that on TV, I guess.
Yeah, this Friday you're going to Pitt, right? Pitt and North Carolina?
Yeah, shout out to Tony Ramos.
Yeah, shout out to Tony Ramos. Okay, so we made a video talking about you kind of taking over college wrestling. And one thing that we pointed out was it started with your beef with Willie. How much did you know about Willie before you and him got into it?
Oh, I got nothing against Willie. He's a good dude, you know what I mean? I didn't know anything about him, you know? And then, you know, he folded like a piece of paper when we were at the match. Then he wanted to be friends. But I love Willie. He's a funny dude. He's a good dude.
Yeah, okay. So you got into it with him, and now your next stop is now the NCAA wrestling. Walk us through what's going on with that.
Yeah, so I went to the duel, you know, Iowa, Penn State, and then, you know, you have all these people come up to you. I think I forget his name, Jim Gibbons. I'm not sure.
Yep. Shout out to Gibbons.
You have all these people coming up to you, welcoming you. Hey, thanks for, you know, shining some light on the sport of wrestling. We love Barstool, all this stuff. Thanks for making the trip. 4 or 5 different people. You know, then I get pointed in the direction, hey, fill out this form ASAP on NCAA. You know, they're going to approve you right away. No problem. I go, I do whatever they tell me to do. I send in my stuff. I send an email, you know, to forget her name, Lily or something like that. And then, you know, she gets back and the email was worded kind of weird. It was like, we've done some research. We see that you work at Barstool. You're just not going to meet the credentials. You're not going to meet the standards for us to credential you. And now in my head, I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Like, is this something against Barstool? Is there something against me? Because, listen, I'm not tooting my own horn by any means. I respect everybody that's in this business. But, like, for them to see, okay, this person has all these followers, he gets all these interactions on his videos and stuff, why wouldn't they want to shed some light on the sport? You know what I mean? So for me, I didn't know which way to take it. I think it was a dig at Barstool in the beginning, and now they're kind of backtracking a little bit, you know, from what I've heard with them today. So who knows, dude? I'm just trying to do my thing, do my content, shed some light on the sport. I don't know everything. I'm not a genius. I was never a wrestler. I just love the sport.
Yeah, I think the community's behind you in a big way. I hope you see that. Have you been getting a lot of people reaching out to get you on board? Yeah. I mean, we don't get a whole lot of
David Taylor reached out.
Let's go.
There was another girl that just said something like all facts or something like that. Jenna, her name is
Burkett.
Yes.
Yep. She's been on Barstool before.
Yeah, I did. I was doing some research. I told my buddy to do some research, you know, see what, you know, these people are about and stuff like that. But yeah, David Taylor just hit me up a couple hours ago, you know, wants to do some content and stuff like that. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, super cool. Have you, did you get to talk to Kale at all while you were there?
I did actually. You know, I had a conversation with him in person, me and my buddy that I bought from back in my hometown. Talked to him. Definitely a really cool guy. Definitely down to earth for sure.
I want to also get your opinion on the Iowa fans so far. You went at him a little bit. You said Jerry Brands, great video. That was an awesome video, by the way. I loved it, the whole thing. And I thought, even though, you know, you're not maybe not wrestled as much, just the one practice with RBY, I thought your take was pretty spot on about the writing and stuff like that. I don't know about folding in the third, but that's your opinion.
Yeah.
Did you have you felt the Iowa fans at all? Because that's a real fan base in this sport.
Oh yeah. Trust me. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm just a content creator who just tries to make people laugh. But at the same time, I definitely don't want to come off arrogant. You know what I mean? For my first time watching wrestling live, I said to myself, wow, like when it came to the third period, I didn't see Iowa really do much. You know what I mean? It seems to me that they were kind of backtracking a little bit. They weren't really wrestling. They were moving backwards. And, in the wrestling terms, they call it stalling or whatever. I felt like they should have had a couple stalls called on them that they didn't. And, one match I seen was the Warner match. And I said to myself, I was like, my buddy was saying, like, Jerry, watch out for this kid. He's a tough kid. He's going to wrestle to the very end. And, it was a tough match for him. He was outmatched and just, was on his stomach the whole time. And I just said, fuck it, I'm going to make a video, funny video. Listen, I love the Brands brothers. That documentary I watched, I put up there with probably top 5 documentaries I've ever watched in my life. That was a really good one, man. It gave you a real insight on these guys' lives. And I appreciate them and I respect them. And I didn't mean no disrespect from it. At the end of the day, listen, I'm a comedian. You know what I mean?
I thought it was a great video. I thought it was funny though, because you came in guns a-blazing right away, and then you immediately go after the Iowa fan base, which is like, I mean, they have their own like wrestling forum called the Hawkeye Report, where if you end up on the Hawkeye Report, you probably did something to make them angry, or sometimes they'll talk positive, but some people refer to it as a cesspool. That's some people, not me. I don't say that. But you come in right away and you start going at the Hawkeye fans. I'm an Iowa State fan. That's where Cale Sanderson wrestled. Dan Gable wrestled there as well. So I'm a rival of the Iowa guys. So I've been on both sides. We've interviewed Tom as well. We got to try to link up an interview with Tom. I think that would be great for you. I don't know if I'm the guy to put you in touch, but seems like you've got the keys to the community right now.
I talked to I'm talking to Marinelli right now. We've been texting for a couple days back and forth. He didn't, find offense to the video at all, But yeah, thinking about going to the Big Ten still, so I'll meet up with him there. Also, Iowa has a match coming up in, I want to say, is it February? I forget who it's against, but he invited me down, and he said full access. You get into the room, you get to talk to Terry and Tom, and Spencer Lee and me have communicated here and there over Twitter and stuff like that. He signed a deal with Barstool. He's a Barstool athlete and whatnot, so that's pretty cool. There's a connection there. I'm just along for the ride, man,
Yeah, who would you say are some of your favorite wrestlers right now that are current in college, or I guess former? We can add former in there as well.
For me, I like Sasso. I like Sasso a lot. Suriano is up there for sure for me. He was the guy. Bo Nickel, Nick Lee. I mean, just dogs, Now I would say RBY's up there. I really like Max Murrin a lot. He's a Steelers fan. I appreciate him. I respect him. He's great. There's a lot. Joey Oliveri, Jersey boy. So I feel like he's maybe not this year is his year, but I feel like he will get there. I see some talent in him. I'm interested to go see this kid Friday, O'Connor.
Austin O'Connor.
Yeah, he was a finalist, right?
Yeah,
he was a champion.
Oh, yeah, it was. When, last year?
He was a champion
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then last year he injury, right?
Yeah,
ACL.
Injury defaulted. I think he took sixth after injury defaulting out. I could be wrong.
He was pretty banged up, but he's healthy now. He might be my pick at 157, to be honest.
He's a dark horse.
What do you think of Spencer Lee so far this year? It's pretty crazy.
Listen, I love him. He's great. I mean, every head must bow, every tongue must confess, one of the best ever. You know what I mean? For me as a fan, though, listen, see, I'm new, so I don't know how all this stuff works.
Yeah, let's hear it.
If I'm Spencer Lee, right, I want to be remembered as one of, if not the best to ever step foot on the mat. So for me, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm going to give the people what they want. I'm going to step on the mat with the best in the world. I'm going to go against RBY. You know what I mean? And I'm going to beat them in Penn State. So I don't understand how all that works yet. I really don't. And I've talked to a couple wrestlers, some coaches that say, Jerry, you're right. And then some say, no, Jerry, you're really wrong. That's just not how it works in wrestling. So I don't know what to make of it. But for me, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think it's probably, if you look at it from an entertainment standpoint, you're 100% right. That match is like crazy that I think it would move the needle in terms of like it would bring wrestling to maybe another level. A couple years ago, we had Seth Gross and Bryce Meredith. We had the number one guy at 133 bump up to wrestle the number one guy at 141 in a duel, and that took that took the wrestling community by storm as well. So I do agree that it is something that would be really cool if it happened. I think with this specific scenario, the dual meet probably had too high of stakes, even though dual meets don't really matter anyways. Like,
yeah. I don't understand that part yet, but from what people were telling me, the dual stakes, they really don't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm team dual meets. I think it's way easier for the average person who's maybe not a hardcore fan to follow the sport if you go strictly off the dual meets, because it's super easy, right? Like decision 3 points, major decision 4 points, 5 for a tech and 6 for a Penn. That's so much easier for people to understand than maybe explaining the little nuances of the rules within the actual match itself. But if you go to the NCAA tournament, it's really hard to say that we should take away the individual tournament because of how awesome that product is. But I think if they had a dual meet tournament as well, that could work. A few years ago, they actually did what was called like the collegiate duels, which was essentially like bowl games. So imagine you guys have the Barstool Sports bowl game, correct? Which you did a great job, by the way. It would be like that in a way where they just pair up different teams and this and that. But it gets so political in wrestling. These guys, they don't want to put their records on the line because it could affect seeding and stuff like that, which I totally get.
But the thing is, I understand if Spencer was undefeated his whole career. He's not. Correct. He has what, 2 or 3 losses? He has 2? What, 3?
3 or 4.
I think it's 2 or 3. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And he lost to the same guy twice, right? He's not undefeated. Okay. He'll never be mentioned as undefeated 4-time national champ. You know what I mean? So, like, for me, I'm saying to myself, like, dude, what do you got to lose? And for the people that were saying, like, well, Jerry, you don't understand. Iowa has no shot to win this duel if Spencer doesn't wrestle at 125. I don't agree with that.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Because let's say the kid from Penn State at 125, I mean, I'm not saying this disrespectful. I mean, he's probably not going to get you 6 points, right? He's probably not going to get you a major either, So, like, if they could somehow walk away that match with, let's say, Iowa gets a win, or they don't get a win, it's 3-0, and then Spencer somehow, some way, dominates RBY. Now you got a duel. Now you got a match. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I think there's a world where that scenario might happen. And yeah, all respect to the wrestlers. We don't, I'm not gonna dunk on them, but I think you're right. I think that if they ended up, if Spencer Lee dominates RBY, it could pay off. But that's a pretty big. That's a pretty big if within itself.
Of course.
Are you going down to Tulsa?
The NCAA is backtracking a little bit right now, as they should. I'll probably be there. And listen, I understand their, whole spiel now. They're backtracking a little bit. Well, now they're saying it's nothing against Barstool. It's nothing against you. But, you haven't covered the sport. I get it. Trust me. I get all that. You know what I mean? But now they're saying, let's email again. So I emailed the lady over again, and she's like, I'm going to take a look into this. Let's see, what comes out of Friday night when you're in Pittsburgh and whatnot.
So you're like,
there's a good chance.
You're like auditioning Friday. You have like an audition.
Yeah.
What are they doing? Why are they running you around like this, Jerry? Just show them your DMs.
They're hoarding me out.
Just show them your DMs and say, look, I got all these people that want me there. And they're going to say no because you've never covered it before. Show them the videos from the other day. You went in the Penn State room. Yeah. We've never even been in the Penn State room before.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not here to toot my own horn like, oh my God, I'm bigger than wrestling. No, I'm not.
You don't have to. You got other people. You got other people doing that for you, and you got the Jersey Jerry Army. Tell us about what's going on there. I saw you saying in the Willie before Willie folded, you told the guys to stand down. Are they still? Are you going to call the dogs on the NCAA? What's going on with that?
No, I told him I have a private group on Instagram and Twitter. It's just guys that look out for me. It's just a close knit group of 6 to 7 guys that are there for me, that go to wars for me if I need them to. And most of the time I tell them to stand down unless it gets really grimy on Twitter, because Twitter's a war zone sometimes. And if I need to take the collars off of some of these dogs, they got no problem. They're ready.
Facts.
Harvard graduate in there.
Okay. Would we know him or no?
No, you wouldn't know.
Okay.
They're just fans at the end of the day who go to war for me.
Well, that's good to have those kind of people behind you, but you're not gonna release them. But if you need to, they're there.
Oh, if I need to, yes, they will be.
Did you think that you needed to bring them to the Penn State duel in case Willie was ready to go?
No, he was. No, I didn't need him for that.
Okay, you're laughing like you don't need him for Willie, or just laughing overall?
Both.
Okay. Did you get to talk to Micah Parsons as well? Was he there?
Yeah, we were texting back and forth. He's a good dude. We had a problem because he was texting me. He's like, "Yo, where you at?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm in 124L," and he's like, "Where's that?" And then like my messages weren't going through. The service was bad, so I talked to a guy down below. I'm like, "Yo, listen, here's my phone. Look, it's Micah Parsons. He's texting me right now. Just show him where I'm at, because he has no idea where I'm at." So he just came over and said, "What's up?" We chopped it up for a little bit.
Oh man, that's cool. Well, Tyler, my co-host here, has a question for you. He queued this up before the show. Tyler, go ahead.
So I was looking at some of your past videos and some of your podcasts you've done before. And one of the aspects of your union job you really reiterated a lot that you enjoyed about it was the hard work. Like you really enjoyed being able to do the hard work, and it was almost an aspect that made it hard to leave. Is that also is that a part of your appreciation for wrestling? Like the dedication and hard work it takes? Because it seems like that's pretty important to you.
Yeah, for sure. So like, listen, man, like, I mentioned earlier in the podcast, like, man, people don't know about me. A lot of people do know about me who followed me. Like, hey man, I was next to a dumpster living on the street. You know what I mean? So like for me, I've been to the darkest places, man, as a former drug addict. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, multiple rehabs, jail, institutions, stuff like that. So, I got the chance to pull myself out of those situations and be dedicated to living a life that I love to live today. That's free. I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore. I'm dedicated to staying sober. So I see where the dedication comes in with wrestling, and the mindset these people have to have. So I just have an appreciation for it, and I relate to that part of the sport,
Okay. Yeah. And you kind of on the same note, I guess, but you said you knew a little bit about RBY's story and his mother family story. Did you get to check the doc that just dropped yesterday about RBY?
Yes.
Did you know most of that already beforehand meeting him?
We've talked about a lot of it. You know what I mean? He was on one of my podcasts. We've talked afterwards and stuff like that, but a really good film, man. A really good film. He's a good dude. A solid dude, you know what I mean? Odds were stacked against him. He was never supposed to be here. So I appreciate that.
You never really know someone's story was my biggest takeaway from it.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
All right, Jerry. Before we go here, there is legalized gambling in some sports books we won't name because it's not Barstool Sportsbook. But I do want to pick your brain a little bit here. Is that all right? Can I run some by you?
Go ahead.
This is for our if you're watching this right now and you guys gamble on wrestling, you can join our Discord. You can hop in there and jump in our gambling channel, and we talk about college wrestling and gambling all the time. But start with this: West Virginia plus 20.5, Iowa State minus 20.5. That's a lot of points for Iowa State. Which one you taking?
A lot of points. Couple pins would have to come out of this. Minus 20.5.
Let's go for Cyclone Nation. Let's go, baby. All right. Minnesota plus 11.5. Iowa minus 11.5.
I think Iowa bounces back. Iowa.
Okay. That is kind of low. I agree with that too. I agree with both these so far. All right. Last one here. Ready? Oklahoma State plus 5.5. Michigan minus 5.5. The Cowboys and the Wolverines.
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Are you a John Smith fan? Are you aware?
Not aware.
Okay, John Smith is a guy that you're definitely going to want to know. Look up. He is a 6-time world champion, the head coach of Oklahoma State. I think you and him would do some great content together. He's a cowboy. He's got the southern accent. It'd be great.
Me from Iowa on the wrestling team today. From the Oklahoma State wrestling team today. I don't know his name, though. I got to look.
Damn.
That's all right. Well, Jerry, we appreciate you hopping on here, man. Anything you want to say to the community before you go?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not really here to take part. I'm here to take over.
Let's go. I like that. Jerry, come on the show anytime you want. We're going to be doing a live show in Tulsa. So if you're there, hit my line, come through.
Yeah.
Last time we had a great show in Iowa City before the Cyhawk duel. We do it live. Maybe we can do it live in person at a bar or something like that.
How long have you guys been doing this?
We've been doing this for about 2 years.
We're coming up on 3 years.
3 years?
3 years
Wow.
in April.
Yeah. So when we started doing this, I'm a Barstool fan myself. I've been watching Barstool for a while. Actually, hold on 1 second.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's sick, bro.
I can't do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I got you. But that's KB's college singlet, by the way.
That's amazing. I got a question for you guys.
Yeah, go for it.
So, like, for me, you know what I mean? What would you guys say that I should be doing? You know what I mean? When it comes to making some of this content, making some of this, should I be doing interviews and stuff like that? Or I just don't know how to play my cards, really. Listen, my plan is to just be funny, be myself, put out some content. I just don't know exactly the route I want to take.
I think what you did this past week was great. Like ruffling feathers. This sport's a sport that it's kind of everybody go with the flow and no one gets hurt kind of sport, feels like, in a way. So when we started doing this, we did this because, I'm a Barstool fan. I saw what you guys were doing, how you guys were covering sports. And my opinion at the time was you guys were probably never going to go and do wrestling content. So I was like, why don't we cover this sport as if we did work for you guys and we did have some sort of podcast that I wanted a podcast about wrestling that is something that I would watch maybe for football or something like that. So we started covering the sport more about just talking about like off the mat topics. And, you saw that video that we posted with you about you or whatever. And we don't we don't bore people to death with the X's and O's of wrestling. We do that sometimes and we have some content where we do that, but we more so like to talk about the community and what's going on and situations like RBY and Spencer Lee and stuff like that. For you, I love that video, the Jersey Brands video we've watched like a ton of times. Like you just giving off the dome takes is awesome in a way for me. And I think the other stuff can get kind of boring. So I think keep doing what you're doing. We're huge fans of what you've been doing this past week. And if there's anything that we can do in the future to help with that, you don't need us by any means, but we can do whatever we can to help you.
And I would say the same thing. Just keep your own touch to it. The sports really needs some fresh perspective in media. And I think you'd be able to definitely do that for it.
Yeah, I think there's some big wrestling media that doesn't really like me much right now, but we'll see.
Who's that?
I don't think Flo really likes me that much.
They don't like us either. So
they don't like a whole lot of people.
Dave's whole thing with ESPN.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same situation we got going on here. We got the evil empire and then we got everybody else. But
it seems like they just, always want to be first to the party. They want to be there. You know what I mean? But, they got another thing coming. Now I'm here.
Let's go. Hey, if that's the case, we're in your army all the way, my man.
Hopefully Barstool gets behind me a little bit. You know what I mean? I would love for them to get involved, whether that be on the sports book or, just bringing cameramen and going up into getting credential and stuff like that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Well,
are you kind of like a one-man army on this push for wrestling right now? Or is there other talks around Barstool if you can go into that?
Not really. It's just kind of me right now. I feel like, I want to talk to KB a little bit. after this Pittsburgh trip, I'll be there Friday. Get back and tell him like, hey man, maybe we should do something. Maybe we should get serious about this. He's well more versed in the space than I am. But I think he could add some really good insight on this and which way to take it. He's a really smart cat, so we'll see.
Well, keep ruffling feathers out there. We enjoy that a lot. We're not good wrestlers. I wrestled in high school, barely lettered. Tyler started wrestling in high school. I started wrestling as a kid, but I was not very good. You know what I mean? Where a lot of people in wrestling media, they can be kind of elitist, and it's just so dumb. If you ask me,
Just definitely
because they were
pure.
like champs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, just much more technical backgrounds.
but we don't care.
Nah, it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah, Jerry, appreciate you, my man. If you're ever in Iowa, you got to come out here. It's the mecca of wrestling. Pennsylvania people can be quiet. It's Iowa, the home of wrestling. So come out here sometime, and we'll take you to a duel. We'll go to a duel. We'll do whatever.
Awesome. Sounds good. Hey, thanks again for having me. I look forward to, hopefully in the future, I'll hop back on here again.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Appreciate you, man.
Love it. Have a good one, man.
We have like the YouTube community, the Patreon community, the Twitter, the Facebook, Instagram, all that. Discord's my favorite community because it's nonstop.